What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome again back to the BB-Scho. I'm your host, as always, Beebs, here with my favorite co-host, Chen. How you doing, man?
Ah, is that a trick question? I mean, I'm better than yesterday. For those that probably don't know, the reason was this was delayed. I couldn't bring myself to. I would have had no emotion. I mean, there would have been bad and negative emotions for sure, but no like energy. No, I was just appalled. Appalled at the events that transpired yesterday and around the league, not just for my team's sake. But, you know, we got some things to talk about first. We got obviously the primetime game. And I did want to hear your thoughts on that because as I remember leaving that day telling all my coworkers, oh, yeah, enjoy the game tonight, whatnot. And there's no way it's worse than last week's, right? Like, there's no way they score less than 12-9. Like, there's no way. And then, yeah, no, they scored 12-7. So, just your thoughts on Jeff Bezos getting ripped off so far.
Yeah, I'm sure his pockets aren't hurting that too bad, but
I mean, yeah, if it deserves that, but anybody, it's that guy.
hey,
Like,
hey, and we've got early release COD this week, and he's got Cardinal Saints on Thursday.
that's a tough one. That is a tough one. Mm.
But honestly, like I Thursday, we both picked the commies to win. Um, we snuck out. I have to agree. I had higher expectations for the offenses. I was like, well, at the very worst, like Carson Wentz is going to sling it around, and I'll be entertained. It's either going to be a bunch of touchdowns or a bunch of interceptions, but it'll be entertaining. That was not the case. It was once again extremely low scoring Thursday night. I don't know how we actually amassed less than 20 points. But hey, a win is a win. The Commanders stuck it out. What does that put them at? 2-4. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, both
You
teams are
know,
sitting
it,
two
it
and
doesn't
four.
it doesn't change much for the outlook. It's just kind of a stinker Thursday night game. It would have been something if Justin Fields had found a way to pull it out. I'm sure Bears fans would have made something out of it. But
For
yeah,
sure.
I did expect more. I was impressed with the Bears defense. I'll at least say that. I expected more out of the Commanders offense.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that because they honestly were able to run it at certain points. It's just there's nothing there in the pass game. Like literally just couldn't get anything going downfield. And I, I guess though on the Bears side, they're no stranger to not getting pass game going. But um,
It actually wasn't the worst I've seen it. That's the
it's
funny part.
yeah, it's the bar's low, so like yeah, it's not the worst we've seen it. And I listen. I'm not gonna say I'm a Justin Fields fan, but I also agree he's like literally in the worst situation offensively in the NFL in terms of play calling, weapons he's got to throw to. The line is just I mean, he took like 5 sacks, I believe, so it's definitely not good. And I think that needs to be kind of addressed more because we see like Daniel Jones gets a good coach. He doesn't even have weapons, and how he's being utilized this year.
Yeah,
And
but
I think Justin
Saquon, hold
Fields.
on. Saquon is a better weapon than anybody in the Bears building.
Well, for sure, for sure. But it's you can't look at you know Daniel Jones and be like he's more talented than Justin Fields. Like Fields has got a better arm, he's quicker. And at times, in like moments, he looks good on I would say like a drive or two a game, which I understand is not enough. But I've heard rumblings, just social media, people I talk to every day. Um, Apparently, there's people saying the Bears should draft a quarterback next year. And I am personally under the impression that solves nothing. I think that just sends them on this exact same cycle of getting a top 10 pick every year. And I think they honestly should try and give Fields a decent shot. Like having some better receivers than Darnell Mooney in a practice squad would be nice. But we have to see it, and I guess we don't get a chance to see it. I understand in terms of where he ranks in the quarterback, hierarchy right now. It's not looking good, but it's only year 2.
I would push back a little bit. I think that I'll just simply say this. I think Justin Fields' clock is ticking more than we are allowing it to as NFL
Agreed.
fans. He just hasn't shown anything. If your coach isn't comfortable throwing the ball 20 times a game because he doesn't think you're good enough to handle that, like
That's a fair point.
go get Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. I'm not the biggest fan of Ohio State quarterbacks, but go take a risk on somebody new because there's a chance that maybe Fields is more of a problem than we're letting on. It's not like I don't know. It's not like they have a piss poor defense. I'm not saying it's great, but there is something there where it's like if they had Trevor Lawrence, I think they'd look a lot better, right? I think that they would look. What's really the difference outside of maybe the backfield? But even then, Montgomery's solid. What's really the difference between the Jaguars' offensive weapons outside of Christian Kirk? I forgot about that.
Yeah, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones is definitely, I think, better than any Bears weapon, and it's not much.
Yeah, but you're saying that because Lawrence gets him the ball.
For sure. And I can agree with that, but we also need to look back at when Trevor Lawrence had nothing last year. And granted, they were both rookies, so they weren't expected to perform well, but using the situation, again, I don't think Matt Eberflus is going to be a good coach. Just from what I've seen, I think he could honestly be out the door after a year and no one really be upset. That's definitely how Bears fans are feeling. And I'm under the impression, again, with Brian Dable, even Robert Saleh, the way he's been coaching the Jets this year, the coaching is very important, especially in how deep the NFL is in today's game. Just the amount of talent there is at a lot of different positions. I would still argue that quarterback is pretty scarce, but I just think that he's not getting a fair shake. It is really all I can say about the matter. I think at times we see it where he can move with his legs, that
I'll say
touchdown.
I'll say this. I'll say this if this helps you. This would not be a year that I would move on from Fields right away. I don't think this QB draft class is it. If it was Fields' class and there were guys like Fields himself as a prospect, Lawrence, Wilson, Lance, I'm forgetting some more, a loaded QB class where there's a generation, specifically a guy like Trevor Lawrence, where there's a generational prospect.
Right.
Yeah, or a Josh Rosen, Kyler Murray type of situation, right? Where you find that you're okay, no, we were just moving on. We like that sort of thing. Yeah, make that move. But I would agree that the Bears offseason needs to look somewhat like the Jets this past year if they want to take steps forward. Go get guys like Garrett Wilson. Go get guys like Breece Hall. Find those diamonds in the rough. I know those were big names coming out of college, but you get what go get skill positions. Go get stars and start to build around that. I mean, not to get off topic, but the Jets have turned Jamal Adams, I believe, into Quinnen Williams, Garrett Wilson, and Breece Hall.
Yeah.
Talk about a win, right? That's how you change a franchise's future. So, look, they had the chance to do that with Khalil Mack, and we'll see how that plays out. Can't remember exactly what they got for him. It was not as big a load as they paid.
I believe they got a second out of it, though. And hopefully they can hit on that pick. They're definitely going to have a high first round and high second round pick of their own. So you're looking at maybe 3 starters if you draft well.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think, all they can ask for at this point. And like you said, go after stars and free agents. Get those.
Yeah, it's not even a star at this point. Go get take a risk on somebody. Pay low on Calvin Ridley or something. Something weird, just something who can go run around and catch it. It's just
as simple as that sounds. Go get Sean Jackson. I heard, hey, he's not retired.
Okay, all right. We're this is where we switch to the
We move on.
Commanders
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Because
Yeah, I
we
don't even
gave
have
enough.
much to say about the Commanders.
No, we gave the Bears enough their line. I mean, at the end of the day, we we're all talking about their future. Like in terms of present day, they still stink. So we can move on. In terms of the noon games, do we want to just touch it out right away?
Yeah, let's get it
The
out of the way.
elephant in the room.
Let's get it out of the way.
Just tackle it? You want to go first, or should I?
I
Because I know
mean,
we probably both have a lot to say.
I'm gonna try and keep this short because we talk about the Packers too much on this podcast. But the bottom line, I guess I'll go first. The bottom line is this team is not a contender. In the weak NFC, could they make the playoffs? Yes. But barring they don't make a move for DJ Moore, they obviously didn't get Robbie Anderson. They don't make a move for DJ Moore or Odell Beckham or some other guy who's on the trade block for an offensive weapon. This isn't going to get turned around. There's you want to talk about culture and coaching. This team has no heart. They're on some layover here from not even winning a championship. I don't know how that makes sense, but it's just like you look at the NFC, and the Packers actually aren't alone in this. It feels like there were a number of teams in the NFC last year who went all in for a championship, and that being mainly, I'm referring to the guys with older quarterbacks, such as Rams, Packers, Bucks, and now you're seeing teams kind of spiral because of either winning the championship or not getting it. And it's just a weird situation that the Packers find themselves in. I don't know where they go from here. They have to continue to try and contend with this roster. I don't know. My expectations were already down, but my expectations. You guys heard me on Wednesday. I said I'm tempted to take the Jets, so that kind of tells you where I was at heading into the week. It only kind of affirmed my thoughts, but I conclude before I get all heated. I'm going to conclude my discussion, so you can take over.
Yeah, I'll take the floor for a bit. Because here's the deal. Initially, I was going to light this team up. I was very upset. Very upset. And that upset, frustration, like, it makes you think. It like, being that, like, I really got it. It ate at, like, the core of my soul of, like, why is this such a problem? Why? And at the end of the day, I was able to just really sit and think about it all. And I'm actually not panicked. Worried? Yeah. The past 2 weeks, losing to the Giants and Jets, teams that are supposed to be like tune-up games for us, I'm worried.
I mean, you could argue the Giants are better than anybody expected at this point.
Oh, for sure. And I'll give both teams their praise. Like, defensively, they've been really solid this year. And both teams are, 4-2 for the Jets, 5-1 for the Giants. Like, hats off. However, one thing that I just, I really was looking back, man. Like, we've had years of playoff losses, heartbreak. 2010, when we won that Super Bowl. Don't
be the stereotypical Packers fan here and talk about how that team struggled.
I'm not gonna be like, oh,
come on.
Just gotta hear me out. We were 4-6, rattled off the last 6, became the hottest team in the NFL at the time. Got the 6th seed, and at the time there was not 7 playoff teams, so that was the lowest seed you could get. Every playoff game had to be on the road, and we ran the table. And we got to the playoffs, and we beat Pittsburgh. So in terms of, like, panicked, freaked out, because we have Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur, I am not. And, like, I even touched on last week, I mentioned how if there's a team that is going to show, like, the most improvement, like, we have a very high ceiling, it's us. Because our receivers are completely unknown, but there's also the speed you got in size, really, in Christian Watson. Romeo Doubs has already shown flashes that he can make an immediate impact right away. And some games he has. He's been the leading receiver. And so at the end of the day, if they can get this thing on track, if they just can lock in, like they beat Tampa Bay, like they can still hang with the best teams. They just, like you said, it's kind of like a culture thing. Even like Jair Alexander's comment about, oh, we might be in trouble. Like, yeah, you think like that. Yeah, like I don't know why that's even in your mindset as an NFL player. I think every day you got to be attacking with the mindset of, I'm going to be better than the dude across from me. Like, oh, are we playing next? Yeah, it doesn't matter. We expect to win. Like, I don't know why losing is even on your mind as a player, especially at that level. But and I'm not trying to rip him because he's a fine corner and all.
I'll
But
just
you touched on the
if
culture problem, and I think it's there. Like, there's
yeah.
definitely some like diva personalities, and I don't know what all goes on in the locker room. We're not there, but that seems to be part of the problem because it's not a lack of talent. Like, this is one
I
of the more
mean,
loaded rosters we've had.
Aaron Jones is like one of the most mellow guys you'll ever like see, and when he starts to complain about like touches and like lack of involvement in the offense, like that's when you know there's some
That's a big
issues going on in the
well, and it
locker
doesn't
room.
make sense. 3 first half carries
Yeah,
and
it's
then 9 for
ridiculous.
the game. I get he didn't get a whole lot of yards. I get our run blocking especially in the middle was not ideal. But you just can't you can't get away from that. You
I
can't.
agree.
Before he even came out in the press conference, like, yeah, not sure how that happened. So maybe it is just a matter of these guys like too much outside noise. They're not locked in. They're not focused on just doing what we're good at as a team. And I'm hoping at just some point we can turn around. Because on the flip side of this, we saw a year or two ago the Baker Mayfield led Browns beat the Steelers, who were, I believe, 13-14 and 0. And then they just went cold and they were done. So, like,
Yeah,
the NFL is
I
crazy.
would agree. I'll agree to the sense that the NFL for this is true for any team. The NFL
Right.
season is very long, and the team that wins the Super Bowl is usually a team that's hot at the end of the year. Look at the Bucks in 2020, right? They lost to the
Right.
Saints twice, not pretty losses. And then what do? They get the Saints a third time in the playoffs, and they go
They roll.
win, roll through a tough Green Bay game in at Lambeau in the NFC Championship. They were the hot team, right? Say what you want about Brady, but you go back another year, the Chiefs were the hot team almost all year. So there are teams that do get it for the whole year, but you could,
For
you
sure.
could go all the way back to the 16-0 Patriots losing to the Giants, right? The Giants got hot at the right time and had the answer. So
For
it's
sure.
just a matter of like predicting who's going to be in the Super Bowl is so impossible because of injuries, whatnot, and because of this. There's always teams. How am I forgetting the Bengals? Right?
Yeah.
Like nobody saw that happening. So I'll agree with you in the sense that if the Packers get lucky and they are that team this year, that mediocre team that nobody thinks is a Super Bowl contender and shows up in a wild card and gets hot and just rides the momentum all the way to Arizona for the Super Bowl, yeah, I do agree with you. But in the sense that I just don't see the roster doing that right now.
I mean,
I
yeah,
don't have
initial
the
reaction.
confidence.
Right. Initial
Um,
reaction. We lost to the Jets in Lambeau. Not a positive outlook. But
no, but
let's like,
if we do something like go sign Odell Beckham, if assuming he's healthy, or trade for DJ Moore, or do something where we're starting to see rumors, like even Rodgers is hinting at it, like a move is going to be made here because it's clear that there is a personnel issue with wide receiver. Like
right.
that could spark this offense into something that is completely different from where it's at right now.
Well, and Odell helped that Rams team get hot last year. Like, they were
Exactly.
able to run the ball for sure, but like that's a spark we would need. I think in general, you could look at like Elgin Jenkins. I personally believe this might be. He needs to be back at right guard. I don't think
Yeah,
he's as efficient as a right tackle. I think
I
he's way
agree.
better at guard, and we could use Josh Nyman as right tackle.
I
I don't
agree.
care if Royce Newman or John Runyon. I feel like they're both the same. I just think LG's better interior, and that would help kind of free up the run game even more, which was working pretty much at every game prior till this week.
Yeah.
But and I guess my thing is kind of toning back to the Bengals. But before we move on, because I know, like you said, we talk about Packers a lot, and I'll give the Jets their flowers, but
They
on the
are
whole.
kind of the Packers Jets game is kind of the story this week. That
It
was
is.
well,
It
actually,
is.
there were a lot of shockers.
There, yeah, we have definitely some things to talk about. But I think like the Bengals, like they like the Packers, we have like one underlying issue. It's no deep threat. Receiver room is a mess. But it can be improved. And the Bengals, like their whole line situation was bad all last year. Like we knew it was gonna be bad. And they found a way at the end of the season to figure it out. Don't really know how, especially the way they look this year. They're also 3-3, but they figured it out. And so, like you mentioned, if we bring in Odell, we just get some of these younger guys to like Christian Watson is healthy, plays every week. Romeo Dobbs gets mixed in, and Cobb does his thing. Now we got something there. And so that's why, like, yeah, as a Packer fan right now, not happy, not at all. But I'm not like writing off the season. Now, if we're like sitting at like 3-6, even like I said, 4-6, like
I don't know.
that's
I
when I'm
mean,
starting.
we do play the Commanders this week.
And honestly, as great as that sounds, I feel like we've been saying, "Oh, we play the Giants. Oh, we play the Jets."
Okay, but you could argue that, but the Commanders just barely snuck by the Bears,
and they did just lose.
and the
Carson
Giants.
Wentz.
The Giants are like, actually, you know what? Let's talk about the Giants Ravens. Let's move on
that does
because I owe the city of New York actually two apologies, but the first one being for the Giants, the second one being for the Jets. I'm not going to go out and say that the Giants are legit. I'm still not 100% sold on their roster, okay? But what I guess I'll ask you, like, where is this? They're 5-1. They've also, my apology is this: is I disrespected them, and they have my respect now, right? Like, you have my respect, Stark, that sort of thing. And so it's what do you think their ceiling is here? What's the top of the line for the Giants? Is it Super Bowl champion or is it?
I think that would be kind of insane. Just like given the factors of it having a rookie head coach, given the factors that they are very like run reliant, like they clearly have holes as well. They're playing better as a unit. They definitely have more like heart. Like you can see the culture is there, and defensively, like it's a unit that I think they could maybe get like ceiling is a like knock off a team or two. I just don't see them like going toe to toe with like the Eagles or like even like the Vikings, like a top NFC team now or even down the line. Like I wouldn't see them taking down Brady in the conference championship. I would hope you wouldn't take down Rodgers and the Packers at Lambeau. Like there's just because of the factor of a rookie head coach, a young quarterback who's really not even had a lot of experience winning so far in his career, in Daniel Jones. I think a Super Bowl is a stretch. But even at this point, like no one thought they were going to have a winning record this year, like realistically. So like the fact that I think they're definitely knew that. Looking at the next couple of weeks of their schedule, it's a cakewalk, and the fact that they're able to get
Yeah, they
wins,
don't have a strong schedule. They're going to keep winning these
right?
games.
They're going to get in the playoffs this year. I believe that. It's just a matter of how much damage are they going to do, and
Yeah.
I think that is ultimately going to depend on, like we talked about earlier, how they play at the end of the season. If they're hot or if they're kind of getting figured out. And because it's not like they're doing a lot of whole new things. They're winning games, and you got to give credit for that, but they're playing good defense, and they're running ball down your throat.
They're a really good fourth quarter team.
For sure.
And those are teams that are really hard to beat.
The ones that can close it out and kind of play the game on their terms, that is tough to beat. And ultimately, I mean, we talk about like panic for the Packers, but for the Ravens, they're 3-3 now. And they got some tough more matchups on the schedule. I'm not saying they're in jeopardy missing the playoffs, but like
no, because aren't they leading their division? Or did the Bengals pass them?
Honestly, no. They're tied with the Bengals, I believe, at 3-3, because Steelers and Browns should both be 2-4, if I know that correctly. And so, in terms of that division being weak, like again, they're still fine. But you know, it's something to look about going forward. The Browns are going to get Sean Watson back later on as well, if they don't completely tank away the season before that point. And that's just something I think to keep our eyes on. Is but like there is a good amount, like as good as these teams are talking about are, the teams are going to get hot. I feel like a lot of them are sitting at 3-3 right now. Like the 49ers are 3-3. They have the same record as the Falcons.
It feels like the NFC. I heard someone say this. It feels like the NFC right now. Like I mentioned, like these juggernauts from last year who are kind of in this championship window layover. One might, I guess you could call it. Yeah. Mainly being the Rams, Bucks, and Packers, who were these, favorites to come out of the NFC all year last year, and the Rams did, and they got their Super Bowl. But there's this weird like transition happening. Stafford looks bad, Rodgers looks bad, the Bucks look bad. Where there's the NFC when compared to the AFC right now it just looks so inferior. That's about it. Like I would not be shocked if the Falcons make the playoffs at like 9-7 or 9-8 or 10-8 or 10-7. Sorry. Like just something weird. Like it just feels like nobody's really good. You could talk about the Eagles and the Cowboys. Yeah, I think that's it.
I would say,
and you could throw the Vikings. You could throw the Vikings in there too. But like, I have questions about the Cowboys. I have questions about the Giants, and I have questions about the Vikings. I don't have that many questions left about the Eagles. They're really good, and they're going to be really good, barring injury. They can win in multiple ways. And I don't have questions about the Bills. I don't have questions about the Chiefs. That's really it at this point. Through 6 games, that's who I think is going to win the Super Bowl. One of those 3 teams. Could be wrong,
sure.
But all that to say, I agree with you on the Giants' playoff ceilings. I don't think they get past the divisional round. I don't think that's a hot take. I just, but I could see them going into the wild card, beating a team like the Falcons or the Packers or something like that. And then we get set up with an Eagles-Vikings NFC championship, or the Niners get in there somewhere once their defense gets healthy. And so it's just a weird situation. I mean, shoot, aren't the Seahawks 3-3 at this point? Like, there's just all these teams that are supposed to be tanking are like 500 with like decent wins.
The NFC playoff picture is a wild one now. It's not even probably a playoff picture considering how many few weeks we played, but like there's teams in that mix that we probably would predict to win 3 or 4 games all year. Yeah. Falcons, Seahawks, Jets, Giants, even
Giants, yeah.
Like it's crazy for just as a football fan this year in that aspect of like even like our picks. I feel like I bombed the picks this week, like the ones that. It's so difficult to honestly just predict what's happening. It's just the bottom line. Like I almost feel like at this point, like reacting to this week is like there's some things like you see it needs to be reacted to, but like I don't want to be like, oh, Ravens are in trouble because I think something need to be talked about. Like we just brought up how many teams are 3-3, but there's also like a lot of context to it.
I think the Ravens
relative to expectations.
Here's what I'll say my expectations for the Ravens are. If they continue right where they're at, they're going to make the playoffs and they'll lose wildcard divisional, maybe sneak into the AFC Championship, depending on where Bills Chiefs line up. But probably not. And but I think the Ravens peak. I think they're just below the Chiefs and the Bills at their peak. If they play their best, Lamar is hot. I think they're there. I don't even know what to.
Lamar is hot. Like
they can run with anybody, and that's what I'm trying to say. But I just don't see that happening. They've already lost their, and I know Bateman's out, and they've got a couple of things. They've lost their hot. They were really hot to start the year, and the offense was incredible first couple weeks, and I feel like they've already kind of teetered off of that. But I don't really have much reaction to this Giants-Ravens game other than my apology to the Giants. That's a long way of getting back to the same place, but I agree. There's not much to react to here. But we can move on to another noon game. So, all right, I'm going to prepare a statement. All right, we're just going to go into this, okay? Because I've been looking forward to this one. since it happened. So I sat there, I watched the whole Packers game, and it was terrible. Meanwhile, at the same time, I'm watching this Jaguars Colts game. And so on one hand, my Packers are doing awful. On the other hand, I have somehow become a pseudo diehard Colts fan just because I predicted them to be in the Super Bowl, and they're terrible. So every time they're in a close game, I'm just rooting for a miracle or anything. So, to get this win. The Broncos 12-9 game, a win is a win, right? Another win. We're rolling, baby. We are rolling, and we are rolling to the AFC South title. We're rolling until we go to Buffalo in the playoffs. That's basically about as far as we roll. But it's
divisional round. Yeah, that's realistic.
Look, if we're gonna beat the Jags without Jonathan Taylor and Matt Ryan's gonna throw for the offense, like unlocked. I don't know what. I don't know what was holding them back, what changed, but Matt Ryan, I'll just pull it up. I know they threw the ball 58 times again, but 389 and 3 touchdowns, no picks. Pittman had career high 13 catches, 134 yards. Deion Jackson had a rushing touchdown. I still think the rushing offense has some question marks, but with Taylor out and 2 wins without him, I'm not complaining at all. Right. I'm not complaining at all.
And honestly, that was the biggest thing is part of those early losses might have been trying to figure this Matt Ryan thing out. And it kind of seemed Sunday like they did. And I will tip my hat to you. Like, they played that well with Jonathan Taylor. You throw them in the mix and they play like that, they dropped 34 without Jonathan Taylor. Like, that just needs to be acknowledged. The Jags are not a bad team this year either. They held the Chargers to 10. Like, this is not the Jags in the past.
We'll get to the Jaguars.
Like, it's divisional games usually tight like that. So for the Colts to do this, that's something I'm not going to just push under the rug. Like, the Ravens-Giants game, that was a kind of slugfest. Like, it was more the Giants' control and, being on the road. Yeah, whatever. But, like, the Colts, we haven't seen this out of them all year. We're both probably.
I think I know I'm guilty of this. I forget the Colts beat the Chiefs. Like, I already forget that.
Right, and so it's like, and they didn't even have this Matt Ryan that showed up on Sunday.
Yeah.
So in all seriousness, we'll probably roll until we run into Buffalo, unless they play at their full potential. They're like right there with the Ravens. I think we put the Bills and the Chiefs in a higher category just because they're hot like all the time.
We should. They deserve to be in that category. They're two of the 3 best teams in football. It's not even close.
Yeah, they're definitely a couple steps ahead of everybody. But I would say in that tier below, it's like teams that, like, at their full potential can also beat anybody. The Ravens, the Colts, we've seen it. I mean, they already beat, like you said, beat the Chiefs. We saw this Sunday. At their full potential, they can do that. Dolphins, we've seen earlier this season, they beat Buffalo. They beat the Ravens at their full potential. It's kind of crazy. Like, we're probably going to, as much as we think it's like Bills, Chiefs, I have a feeling one of those teams is going to lose just because. Because of the fact.
Like last year?
Right. Like, some team is just going to show up like the Bengals and just be out at the right time.
I'll say this regarding the Colts' potential to come out of the AFC. I'm not going to get ahead of myself until they can prove to me that they can run the ball for 150, 200 yards as an offense, not just Jonathan Taylor, consistently rush for 100 yards, I'll say. Because the rushing offense has been really bad, and that's what you need to win in the playoffs. If they can figure that out, Jonathan Taylor will be their greatest weapon against either one of these teams. Okay, Josh Jacobs shredded the Chiefs, and if you go to Buffalo in January, and Buffalo is in the snow and struggling to throw the ball, and you have Jonathan Taylor to help carry you to victory, I think that the Colts, have a chance to win that game because it looks like Buffalo's going to have the home field advantage in the AFC. So I don't think the Colts come out of the AFC unless they figure out the rushing game. That's the bottom line.
For sure. And that's, like I said, like when I mean full potential, it's that. It's if they're going to have this passing game going, they need to also have the running game going with it. They need to be just unstoppable like the Bills and Chiefs. But in terms of that, like, it's just my Colts praise for the day. Jaguars, I believe they're sitting at 2-4 now.
Yeah.
Definitely not. I think they're definitely going to steal a couple more wins. But ultimately,
I'm a little disappointed, honestly.
What's up?
I'm just a little disappointed in Jacksonville right now. I had higher expectations based off of the first couple of weeks of the season.
Agreed. I would agree. It seemed like they were going to be a little bit better, but ultimately, I think the AFC is just too crowded for them, and they're too young. They got not first year coach in the NFL, but like new team for Doug Peterson. I think they're going to come out better next year and probably surprise some people a little bit more, especially if they continue to make upgrades to the roster. But ultimately, like
I'll push back a little bit. I don't think they're out of the playoff contention. And I don't think they're out of the AFC South contention either. But if they go lose to the Titans, they're out.
I don't like their chances. That's all I'm going to say. I think Colts, honestly, after what I saw, I'm pretty confident that it's going to be them or Tennessee. I think Jaguars are definitely behind. And ultimately, just looking at the rest of the NFL, it's like the West, the AFC West. I mean, you can see the Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders. I know the Raiders aren't a good record, but I still think they're a better team than Jags. Not going to talk about Broncos. NFC East or AFC East, excuse me. The Bills, Dolphins, like even without Tua, like they need Tua back. Obviously, they've looked like Tyreek Hill's still doing his thing without him. The Jets are born too. I'm not saying they have a better chance than the Jags. I feel like
that's
now.
That's a good point. The AFC is really crowded.
Yeah, it's not necessarily.
I don't see a second. I agree. The way it's shaking up right now, it doesn't look like a second team from the AFC South is going to make the playoffs.
No, I don't see it. And ultimately, if the Jags maybe swap places, like the Bears or somebody, like, and we're in the NFC, their shots are probably a little bit more realistic. But AFC is just that playoff picture's already getting really crowded.
Yeah, I have to agree. We can move on. I have to tell you, I'm really mad at you for talking me out of taking the Patriots over the Browns on Sunday because I was dead set on it. And then we picked like 7 teams in a row that they were exact same. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll take the Browns just to be different. It's a 50-50 game, knowing full well that I really liked the Patriots in this game. So props to you for winning the mind game and getting the pick right. But, what's your takeaway here?
Bailey Zapp quarterback comp? No. Listen, as good as Bailey Zapp's been playing, there was, I'm pretty sure ESPN posted was like overreaction or not overreaction. Like Bailey Zapp will keep the starting job. Like, come on now. Mac Jones is a solid guy. He's a solid quarterback. He hasn't shown anything that makes you want to bench him. But I will say this is probably something Belichick could turn into like a Jimmy Garoppolo situation where teams see Bailey Zapp.
I don't know. I'm not that sold on Mac Jones.
I'm not like.
Does Mac Jones have a performance like this? 300 yards, no picks, 2 touchdowns?
Last year he definitely probably had, one of those, maybe 2 of them in there. I do see what you're saying. It's not like, oh, like Mac Jones is like confirmed, like gonna be the guy. I just don't think you invest a first round pick in a guy. Like it's just gonna be very tough. If you go to Bailey Zapp, like there's no going back, I guess is my point. And like you could play Mac Jones. And
I just think that Belichick does not care that he invested a first round pick if he's going to win more games with Bailey Zapp.
That's a fair point because if anyone would do it, it's Belichick. He's done it before. see Tom Brady.
Yeah, they invested
And
$100 million into Drew Bledsoe. See how that went.
right.
They got a
And that
Super
was,
Bowl.
that's honestly a worse investment because it wasn't even just a draft pick. It was a draft pick and you paid him. So honestly, you got a point in that aspect. And I think if this continues, where we see this is kind of what Cooper Rush, I think, needed to do in order to, I don't say like beat out Dak Prescott, but like have it's like a serious conversation about a quarterback controversy because that's just the bottom line is like you have to kind of enhance the play of people around you. And the fact that, Zappen's going for 300 yards and making the Patriots receivers who are not like crazy good, like Jacoby Myers is all right, but makes them look good as a rookie that's middle round. Like, I got to tip my hat to that, especially against the Browns team who's like they're pretty stout defensively. Not in the past though, as we've seen with the Jets, but
I
you
have
know,
some questions about the Browns, but yeah, you sum up my Bailey Zappi thoughts. I think they'll go with Mac Jones when he comes back, but I honestly wouldn't be shocked if they didn't at this point. Like he's 2-0 as a starter. He almost beat Rodgers coming in and relieving Brian Hoyer. So that just remains. I'm putting that in a to be determined category here. We'll just see how it goes. But they're not rushing Mac Jones back. For the
yeah,
Browns, sitting at 2-4 in a tough division. I got to be honest. I'm not writing them off fully, but
it doesn't look
it
good.
doesn't look good. It just
They got some games ahead of them too. Like,
And you know what? This is what we expected. I think that they were honestly overperforming our expectations a little bit. And 2-4, if you'd have told me that at the start of the season, I'd have been like, yeah, I could see that. Like that seems realistic. Like Brissett's all right. Nick Chubb will get him going, and the defense is all right. But without Deshaun, he's going to be their big difference maker. Like
yeah,
I, they invested in this guy. They just got to wait for him. But that's kind of where I see it.
and they're like again they're 2-4, but like they're just that Jets game they could have honestly realistically won. Like they're competitive, and so like it's not like I would agree they're overperforming a bit, but I don't know. It's even like again like Brissett doesn't even seem like he's been playing bad or like playing a lot of games. That's why I think that kind of saying like you mentioned saying it before the season that if they're sitting at 2-4 it would surprise you. Like that does make sense. I guess just watching them play and like how good the running game's been, how Mark Cooper has honestly been pretty good.
Yeah, but
Occasionally,
if they're gonna
so
lose games like this, their ceiling is very low.
oh, I agree. Like it's just like for them to be losing games like this, it's like I just I guess it's, the bottom line is close is not winning. They're
Yeah,
those teams, like they've been close, but they're probably gonna be in like that Commanders route this year. They were gonna be better than when Deshaun Watson gets back, but they'll be in a lot of games, not gonna be winning too many.
yeah. I think I have to agree. They invested in Deshaun. They made the big deal. They took the risk. I don't think they're very upset with where they're at right now. They're way down their difference maker to come back. That's the bottom line. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, how about the Bengals barely sneaking out of New Orleans 500?
Yeah,
Barely sneaking out alive here.
it was barely, and I know I mentioned the Red Rifle revenge game. Uh,
I didn't know this. He
it
was he was 2-0 against the Bengals in his
was,
career going in. Now he's 2-1.
well, win some, you lose some, and I even saw a report that he continues to play at a high level. They'll beat out Jameis, like they'll just give him the job, which
I think
I think we
they
touched
are.
on.
I honestly think that's already decided in my
Yeah, we
opinion.
touched on that. I like there's just not a lot of money tied up in either quarterback, so you kind of just go with whoever's playing better. And I don't think again like the Saints are sitting at 2-4. I don't think it's like a Browns 2-4. You know what I mean? Like that's the Bengals, and they could have won that. They could have beat the Vikings in London. Like they haven't
Yeah.
pulled these close ones out.
The Saints are having close ones with good teams. The Browns are having close ones with bad teams.
Bad. Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely the key difference in that. So that's why I think when the Saints, like I think they still have the Panthers twice. That's probably like 2 free wins for them.
Yeah.
They usually like they got the wins left on the schedule, especially in this NFC, that they're definitely not out of it. 2-4 is
Yeah.
not pretty, but they're not out of it. They've shown flashes, and just I think having some stability.
No, I actually think the Saints are starting to heat up.
Yeah, no, I could agree with you. They're starting to utilize Taysom Hill. Not as good as they did the week prior, but that was my concern, honestly, going in. It was like Dennis Allen's a defensive guy. Losing Sean Payton, are they going to be able to still stay competent on offense, which they have?
Yeah.
So
I'll say this.
they're still right there.
On the flip side, the Bengals, that is. It's crazy what happens when you stop using Jamar Chase as a decoy. I saw that tweet. They're like, it's crazy what happens when you actually give the ball to this guy instead of trying to use him to get other people open. But
right.
yeah, it's not like they were doing it. It's still the same bland play calling and route running. It's not like they were doing anything different. They just were giving him the ball, and he was making the plays. It looked like last year. It was like, oh, Jamar's out there somewhere, and just chuck it, right? And it was working. I remember there was a big third down. He's got a corner draped all over him, and Burrow doesn't care. He just rips him a slant, picks it up, gets into the red zone, they go score. Like, it's just like, why are they not giving this guy the ball more? I don't quite understand, but if they can figure out how to do that and the offense can look like you started, in my opinion, the offense looked the most explosive it had been since last year.
So that brings up an interesting point, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, because I kind of touched on it a bit with the Colts prior, how they're kind of trying to utilize, like, the Colts is like their game plan should be pound the ball with the best running back in the league, so theoretically, but we see them just pass in these early weeks against easier matchups, you could say. Is that maybe something the Bengals they kind of tried initially? I will agree play calling is still bland, but maybe it's like they might have thought, all right, our downfall kind of in the Rams game was like we couldn't really get a whole lot going outside of Jamar Chase. Do we try and get other people going early in the year, use them as decoys, see what it does? And they realized, yeah, this really isn't doing a whole lot back to what we were doing. Like, do you think other people play around with that? Or is that just kind of like because you see it in the NBA, coaches will experiment with rotations. They'll usually go 11 or 12 deep into the bench early in the season. And I know the NFL is different in the sense that there's way less games. But I do think that's worth talking about if we see such drastic changes.
I still think what the Bengals are lacking is a consistent run game. I mean, Mixon only had 8 carries for 40 yards in this game, So, and that was something that they were last year I felt like it was a lot of like, we're going to run the ball for like 5 yards a carry all year long. And Mixon's going to have the best year of his career, and we're going to run it 20 times.
Right.
And then we're going to drop back and throw it another 25, 30 times, depending on how many plays we get. And Jamar Chase is going to shred you in those, and it's not like Higgins and Boyd are bad. I mean, I think it's one of the stronger receiving cores in the league. And Joe Burrow just happened to have his best, a breakout season. And I think that this year, this was the first time it started to look like the offense was like on the same page almost. Like, I can't answer your question. Like, I don't know if there's truth to them trying to – that could be true. They're trying to get other guys going earlier in the year. And maybe we'll see that going on if they just start force-feeding Jamar. But I just don't understand that then. To me, that furthers my argument that Zach Taylor is not a good play caller. Like,
fair enough.
It furthers my argument. Like, there are ways to use guys. Like, look at the Vikings. They use Justin Jefferson in so many different ways. And I know I say this once a week at this point. They use him as a decoy, and it works.
Right.
he also gets the ball 10 times a game and has 100 yards every game. Like, there's a way to do both, not just, oh, we're going to stick Jamar over here on the outside. He's going to run a go, and we're going to make you bring your safety over and double team him. Like, why would we double team the guy when we know you're not going to throw it to him? Right? You
Yeah,
throw it to him.
fair
You're
enough.
throwing it to T. Higgins more than this guy. Why would we double team him? I know who he is. I know he's a talent. I'm just going to, as a D coordinator, I'm going to take the risk. You don't seem interested in giving him the ball. It's like a Kyle Pitts thing. You're not going to give the guy the ball. I'm not going to be too concerned about stopping him until you prove me wrong. So I don't know. I hope they keep giving him the ball. That's the bottom line. If they're going to win games, this is what they need to do. Like, think back to the Chiefs game last year in the regular season, right? Like, this is how they win games. It's explosives. This is who they are. They're the deep. They throw the ball deep, and they still got to figure out the running game. I still am going to hold them to that.
Definitely for playoff success, that's got to be more consistent. And yeah, because quite frankly, 8 carries is that's never going to get it done. But that being said, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add to either sides. I feel like the Saints are still in a decent spot, and Bengals got questions, but ultimately we talked about the AFC playoff picture a bit already. They're still in a solid playoff position.
Yeah.
Especially given their division. But I think if people are worried about the Packers, are you really worried about the Buccaneers? Because
this is
that was a game I don't think anybody saw coming. I understand.
Oh, it was a 10-point spread.
Right, yeah. Like, that was the biggest dog of the day. And they pulled up on Tom Brady.
Okay, here's my question for you. What does this game tell us about the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, considering they waxed the Steelers.
They whacked the Steelers with Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
He didn't play against the Bucs.
I think that, well, we've touched on how the Chiefs and Bills are, we say the premier of the AFC, but honestly, probably in the NFL. Like, I don't think the Eagles are even on that level yet. As good as they've been this year, that's just such a not far out, like, just, it's a tough, like, expectation to be held to. And I think the Eagles end up like 10-0. I could really see it. But even that year, the Steelers went, like I talked about, 13-14-0.
No, the difference, here's the bottom line. The answer you're looking for is that the Bills and the Chiefs, fans hold them above everybody else because we know that they can do it in the playoffs. Okay, we saw the game last year, right? We know the story. It's the Manning Brady part 2 almost, right? It's almost we're getting to that point. We're going to be here for the next decade where these guys are just going to – everybody wants to see it. It's must-see TV. How on earth – and not to get ahead of ourselves – how on earth that game this week wasn't Sunday Night Football? I have no idea. Absolutely no idea.
And we got to watch Broncos-Chargers tonight. Broncos again.
Anyways.
God, are you kidding me?
Anyways, I'll talk about the Bucs. I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit here. I said this in the preseason. I said something's going on in Tampa. I'm not confident in this Tom Brady doesn't go to training camp and he just shows up team. Like, I just don't think that they're – look, people are making the jokes, right? Like, he doesn't practice. He just shows up on Sundays and he yells at his old line. Like, I just – the Bucs are just really lacking. I don't even know what they're lacking. That's the thing. Is that
it's so hard to put your finger on. Like, they're just so.
You look at their roster and it's so good. And I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's culture. I don't know if it's disdain for their quarterback who missed half a training camp. I don't know if it's a lack of chemistry because of that. The Bucs. I really didn't see this coming. That's the bottom line here. And I don't know what this means because it definitely doesn't mean that the Steelers are a good team. It definitely doesn't mean that.
No, that's not the takeaway I got. No, I got the impression that, like you mentioned, I think it's very like something that needs to. It keeps kind of getting like it's Tom Brady. Like he doesn't practice on Wednesdays. He doesn't show up to training camp. And it's always just it's Tom Brady. And like it's yeah, all these guys know who Tom Brady is, but I know there's like new faces in that Tampa Bay locker room, younger ones that like are coming in there and they see this and they're like, yo, like I'm coming in here every day, like busting it and trying to get better. And then this old dude is just yelling at me on Sunday when his things aren't going well for him or he gets hit and he gets up and starts to scream at everybody.
I think the bottom line is the O line is not quite what it was, and that's kind of the root of their problems because Brady cannot. He's not mobile, right? He's not.
No,
He's not
each
going
year
to move.
worse
And
and
so if
worse.
there's quick pressure, it's going to result in a quick check down or he's going to throw it away. So they lose their deep threat when they don't give him time. And so I think that's partially a factor. I really don't know. That to me, that's not enough to lose to the Steelers with no Minka Fitzpatrick, no
Yeah,
TJ Watt,
there is no excuse for it. And
other than Mike Tomlin out coaching you. That's it.
yeah, and that is, I guess, maybe another talking point is this on Todd Bowles because he's been a defensive guy's. That's when I kind of think I draw the line personally because I know people that's like the media especially that's what they're gonna jump to, especially because they like to defend Brady a bit. It's Todd Bowles, like it's a new coach, it's not Bruce Arians, but they still have Byron Leftwich, like they still have the same offensive play calling. You still see them pass way too much. Like
Yeah.
it's what they do.
Here's the analogy that we've been using throughout the show, and this is how the last thing I'm going to say about the Bucs. I'm pressing the panic button, but I'm never writing off the go.
You can't.
I'm
Yeah,
not going any farther than pressing the panic button.
right. If they were
And I'm
like
not
one
going to
five or
say
0
something
6,
I'll regret either.
yeah, like if they were like really like in a terrible record spot right now, then I'd again be concerned. But even then, it's like, well, they don't put a pass on Brady to like rip off 10 straight. Like it's just something you don't do, and it's honestly precisely why I'm not running off the Packers and a couple other like 3-3 teams that we'll get to moving forward. But concerned is definitely like the right word, and just confused. I really got to see more and just to see like what is really holding this team back. But that's what all I got to say about Buccaneers and for the Steelers. Like
I agree.
kudos to the. I still like Trubisky won the game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I still agree or am under the impression that he got pulled too early, especially how bad some of the guys have played. But I do understand again the logic of like if you don't think you're going anywhere, you're just trying to
Yeah, I mean, we're
get.
harping on.
No,
We'll see. We'll see if Pickett's out in concussion protocol next week, and I forget. I don't know who they play, but we'll see. Is the
but yeah, we'll
bottom
see what
line.
happens. Yeah,
But so I actually want to pull this stat. You might be 0-6 on Falcons picks.
I'm not shocked. They
I
get
think you're
me
either
every.
1-5 or 0-6.
You know what's crazy is they're 6-0 against the spread.
Yeah.
So like essentially, whatever I say for the Falcons, you pretty much just fade it, and you're gonna win money. Like that's so. Note that when we go over our Wednesday predictions, you want to make a little extra money for the weekend. Bet whatever I say is going to happen in the Falcons game. Because it never happens. How the 49ers, who
I
are
mean,
always so stout defensively, always are like
Bosa was a scratch.
bad game, but what in the like? You knew that all the Falcons were going to do is run the ball. Marcus Mariota only threw it 13 times. Granted, he was nearly perfect, but like it's such a one-dimensional, like 3 yards, 4 yards in a cloud of dust, and the Falcons are still getting it done. I don't understand it. I mean, again, kudos to them for having the same record as the Buccaneers through week 6, which
look.
no one saw coming.
I'm gonna throw something out here. This could be a hot take, but I want to see your reaction. Arthur Smith, Coach of the Year.
If he maybe utilized Kyle Pitts a little bit more earlier.
No, I just think that's such garbage. And I'm a Kyle Pitts fantasy owner. You cannot let fantasy football dictate your opinion on a football team that is surpassing. They're 6-0 against the spread. They're surpassing everybody's expectations, including Vegas.
I agree that he's a contender. I don't put him past Brian Daboll.
Okay, that's fair. But if the Falcons make the playoffs, he's got to be a top 2 pick.
He's definitely top 3. It's just the way I see it going is the Giants are going to make the playoffs, and just Daboll being a first-year head coach, they're probably going to finish with a better record. That's what I mean. There's some really interesting names that you could bring up, depending how crazy the record for the Eagles gets, like how many Nick Sirianni could be a name.
Yeah, if they win 15 games, it's kind of hard not to give it to them. I mean, they haven't lost yet, so if they win 17.
Yeah, seriously, yeah, it's crazy, but they haven't lost yet, and every time I pick them, they just don't. And honestly, like I said, Mike McDaniel for Coach of the Year. The Dolphins are going to have some kind of crazy run.
Well, I mean, that prediction was before
because
Tua getting hurt.
Really that's true, but I also think the Dolphins are held to a higher expectation this year. I just think you brought up with the Falcons, they were supposed to be so bad, and even the Giants, we just didn't have this expectation for those teams. Robert Saleh, honestly, if the Jets continue, could also be a name to watch as well. But yeah, no, I just, again, good for the Falcons. Mad that I just can't seem to figure this team out. And for the 49ers, it's kind of just a bad game.
They were pretty depleted on defense. No Bosa.
That's what the crazy amount of rushing attempts tells me. They just have the bodies, but
I'm not worried about the Niners. No concern.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is what it is.
We know exactly who they are, and given the fact that there's nobody else in their division right now, they'll be there come January.
Right, and they always seem to get hot at the end of the year. This is not. They've started off 3-4, 3-5 before, and then fine. Yeah. So this really does nothing. Like you said, they are that we all think they are.
All right, we got one more noon game.
Nice.
And it's Vikings-Dolphins. Vikings moved to 5-1. I'm not going to say commanding victory, but a solid win against a good AFC opponent.
What was it, 21-16?
24-16. Won by 8. But Skylar Thompson got the start. Bridgewater came in and relieved him. Not playing a full-strength Dolphins team. Not sure how big of a test this really is, but regardless, a win is a win in a division that they keep winning games like this. They should run away with. But I'll ask the same question I asked for the Giants here. What is the Vikings ceiling in your opinion?
I think playing at their best.
Can the Vikings represent the NFC in the Super Bowl?
I will say this. If Kirk Cousins doesn't do primetime Kirk Cousins things, which, again, not expecting to, but, if he plays at his full potential, they could represent the NFC.
Hey, if they play I'll say this. I agree. If they play the NFC Championship at noon, they could win.
Right. Yeah, they got a shot. But, you know what I mean? That's fair, realistic.
I have this to say, though. At the beginning of the year, I actually was really close to picking Minnesota for the NFC North over the Packers, but I let my bias
I still don't think
and my fandom take the Packers.
Run away with it. I still think the Vikings, you said like they've gotten wins against the Bears, Lions, depleted
No,
Dolphins.
they've
Like,
yet to. The one time they played, they did not look good against the Eagles, and that's my biggest concern. Is this is a team that
right.
the Vikings have always been right there, and now if they're going to be if this is going to be the year they start to clean up all those close games that they used to lose, or even half the close games that they used to lose against the mediocre teams that would kill their record, then yeah, they can be really good. They're going to win the division. Are they going to get the first round bye? It doesn't look like it. Looks like that's going to be the Eagles, so they're going to have to go. They're going to have home field, which is good for the Vikings, but I I think the ceiling is the NFC Championship game. Honestly, I could see them. Like I said, I could see them representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. I think they have the legs to do it. They have the weapons. They have it everywhere. The defense is overperforming, in my opinion, but they don't have the guy. They don't have the general they need. They don't have the quarterback to get them through the big game. And
Uh, at the end of the day, like I'm saying, like that's like when you say ceiling, we're saying everything goes right,
yeah,
and
and
like
look,
I'm saying that like them getting to the Super Bowl, like I think even if everything goes right, they still don't beat like anybody really from the AFC. Whoever wins the AFC, I don't think they beat. And realistically, like if we're just looking at the issues you touched on, defensive question marks going into the playoffs late in the season, not good. Having your quarterback be not only terrible in prime time, but ultimately for his career, not good in like
big
play
games.
like big games, good teams. Like he's a guy that will win against bad teams, but like he kind of gets figured out, like honestly, by just the good teams, and that's why it's like I still want to see more out of that. That's why they got 2 games in the Packers. I understand that, but Packers, I'm assuming we get him back in Lambeau, and like who knows
I think that's
what
week
the rest of the
17.
like we really like there's a lot that could change from here. I believe
I
they
think
still have to play
this.
like the Cowboys, I
So
believe. Like
you would say a ceiling, all things go right for the Vikings, is a Super Bowl appearance.
yeah, they would have to be like full strength, no injuries. Kirk Cousins has like a Joe Flacco type run where he's just impeachable, and that would get them to the Super Bowl because that like this team talent wise has got a really good unit. It's just the matter of putting it together every week, and when Kirk Cousins can do Kirk Cousins things, that's why they're a good team and they can be great. They show flashes of great being great. I just don't think it's like sustainable year long for them, based on what we've seen in Kirk Cousins' entire career. That's just it's a big history kind of line of receipts that you can go off of.
I would
Unfortunately,
agree. I would agree. I think that their ceiling is Super Bowl appearance. You guys heard what I said about the Packers ceiling, so that kind of shows how I feel about the two NFC North contenders at this point in comparison. But I could never see the Vikings running with the Bills or the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. They don't have the guns to
no
keep
way.
up. So yeah, that's about all I have. Dolphins got to get to a back before I'm going to say anything or press a panic button or do anything.
Right, and the fact that they still like just didn't get like blown out, their defense honestly for the most part held up given the circumstances of like not really expecting your offense to do anything for you. And yeah, like we said, like you have Tua back. We've seen what they've done with him. They've beaten the Bills and the Ravens. Something to be noted. That's why I picked them. I understand they lost, but like I was just like, I want to pick the Dolphins because at the end of the day, I think they'll probably win next week. Like I think this is a team that's still really good. They're like I believe they're in that 3-3 club too. Of
Yep.
like they're probably getting a playoff spot even though the AFC is crowded. I really am believers in this
Just got to
team.
get healthy. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, biggest thing for them is health. And like sticking
Um,
quarterback pull game would be nice.
what? Okay, I didn't know this was possible. And I'll move on. Panthers Rams here. I didn't know it was possible to win a game by 2 touchdowns and look bad doing it. like, like
When it's against a team that's the Panthers, it can be done. just for the matter of you get many possessions because the Panthers are just going to keep booting it away with you. And it's like the fact the Rams didn't get up to like 40, given what we've seen from them. There's a lot going on. We've seen the Cam Akers thing, how he already wants out. He wants a fresh start. And this is a guy, a crucial piece for them last year in the playoffs. Stafford, there's definitely concern still. At O-line, they lost their already crap left tackle for the year, so that a bad situation gets even worse.
I'm gonna take this moment and I'm just gonna. This might be my only chance all year to do this with any of these teams. I'm just gonna say I told you guys so. Go check the receipts on the NFL preseason predictions.
All right,
go check the receipts. I said I don't know if the hot take the Rams don't make the playoffs, and it's looking like that's gonna hit. I actually should have put money on it, but yeah, that's. I don't have much else to say about the game. Panthers tank for Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, whoever you want. Do your thing. Dish out. Oh, we got to talk about Robbie Anderson actually. Robbie Anderson to the Cardinals. What's your immediate reaction?
Crowded receiver room.
Marquise Brown is down though. He might be out for the year.
I did see that, and so it's like, all right, let's look at DeAndre Hopkins is back next week.
Yep.
Okay, crap. Sorry, my camera died there. DeAndre Hopkins back next week. Rondell Moore is still there. AJ Green's been meh. I believe there's a guy I'm missing. We touched on Marquise Brown, but there was I feel like another name in there.
Zach Ertz.
There is Zach Ertz. Yeah. It might have been if Marquise Brown was there, because that's him. Yeah, I don't know. Either way.
No, I agree. It doesn't of all the teams to go get a wide receiver like Robbie Anderson right now.
That didn't make any sense.
That doesn't make. That's like the one thing the Cardinals don't need right now.
It was granted they gave up a 6th and a 7th, so it's like, all right, you just basically went and drafted a backup receiver. I don't think it's the worst trade. But it's also, again, why? And especially as a Packer fan, seeing us struggle the way we have.
Okay, I'm not that mad. I would not have wanted Robbie
Anderson. But, that going price is 6th and a 7th. I've then said I'm comfortable blowing, a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, even a 1st for a proven receiver because – we spend 2nd, 3rds, and 4ths all day long.
I don't think Robbie Anderson is a proven receiver.
I'm not saying that's not what I'm saying.
He's not been.
He got a 6th and 7th.
This is what. So here's the
receiver. You could probably get him a Keenan Allen. You don't think the Chargers would take a 1st rounder?
Oh, they would. Well, yeah, especially with all his injuries.
I think and I know they probably got to pay Mike Williams and Joshua Palmer. They're probably moving up. If there's a guy who's the odd man out over there, it's probably him.
So here's the weird part about this Robbie Anderson deal. I don't understand why the Cardinals did this. His contract is 2 for $30 million with $20 million guaranteed.
And I think the Panthers pay some of that just the way contracts work.
Yeah, I don't know how that'll work out, but it's what incentive did the Cardinals have to make this deal?
Yeah, you just strap yourself for cash really even more.
Yeah, unless there's a McCaffrey deal coming next week where they're like, hey, if you take Robbie Anderson's contract, we'll take a 2nd instead of a late 1st for
McCaffrey
and we iron it out later.
That would be interesting. I do hear you though.
I don't know.
Purpose, what was so you said 2 for 30. Even if it was 2 for 10, you're paying a backup receiver for your team $5 million a year.
This is why I didn't think that this is this is why I didn't think that the Panthers were going to be able to get rid of Robbie Anderson because his contract is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he's not very good. So I don't. It feels like to me to sum up the Cardinals right now. It feels like to me they're trying to play this 7-on-7 football with
Yeah,
with let's get as many fast guys as possible who can go catches and just say Kyler go make a play every single time.
it's
It's like
not
they're
working.
playing Madden with Mike 99 Mike Vick. Like he just runs around, go make a play, and we're gonna try and win every game like this. And it's not working.
If Kyler Murray was 99 like Vic, I mean, I know he had a decent amount of rushing yards this week, but still, like they have not gotten anything going in that passing game. He really looks like even benching now. It's been as tough. It's been as tough as it's ever been since his rookie year. He looks like he's a rookie again. The way he's throwing the ball, and like just being honest, like you mentioned before, that 7-on-7 mentality.
Yeah,
Like I get it's Cliff Kingsbury's MO. He's supposed to bring the spread, Texas Tech Red Raiders shootout. It's not working.
no,
Plain and simple, it's not working. We've seen it. This is like year 3. That philosophy is not working. I'm not saying Kyler Murray's the problem. I'm not saying he's not
I
wrong.
think Cliff Kingsbury should be the number one coach on the hot seat, and he's not going to be. And I've
Right.
kind of been harping on this for a little bit now.
Yeah, because he just kind of wins enough games to scrape by. The Cardinals were really bad before this, but it's also like you've put enough pieces on that roster that they're just more should be. I get they played the Eagles, but they only they didn't play the Eagles this week. They played the Seahawks.
They play the Seahawks, yes.
Like that.
How do you play the Seahawks and have 200 yards passing for no touchdowns?
Exactly. In a game that honestly for them is like must win at this point.
Yeah.
Todd is right around the corner. They're already not like doing well as a team. They're gonna be behind in the standings. I understand that division right now is crowded just due to the way the Niners slow start, the Rams are just bleh. That doesn't mean like they're not in danger. I'm not saying again because of how the NFC is, could they get a playoff spot? Maybe, but like the Cardinals were an early exit last year, and they started out like 7-0.
Yeah. They're out of the playoff
So
picture. In my opinion, they're out of the playoff picture at this point.
this is they don't look like a playoff team, that's for sure.
I'll say
And
this,
I'm
though.
definitely worried about it.
I did pick the Seahawks this week.
Of course.
I did say, go check the receipts. I said, I am dead set. The Seahawks are going to steal this game at home. This is my upset pick of the week.
And honestly, I thought I just rolled with the Cardinals because I was all in on the Kyler Murray, Marquise Brown strat, and that crashed and burned. I already know.
Yeah, that fantasy frenzy, yeah, that crashed and burned, but your Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews did not crash and burn. So we'll move on. I had the Seahawks winning. Don't have much to say about the Seahawks. Just keep rolling. They're going to win their home games. I think they're in the playoff debate at this point at 3-3.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about. But
incoming news, real quick. Baker will compete for a job, according to Steve Wilks, once he comes back from injury. Between him and Jay Walker.
That's just disappointing.
Yeah.
That's,
sorry, I had to throw that out there because, I mean, I didn't think we even touched on it just because how bad the Panthers are. But
no, they're in a tank mode, and they should. They're
beat out by a guy who's the MVP, like the UFL or whatever.
Yeah. All right. Bills go into Arrowhead, get the win. They've done this 2 years in a row now in the regular season. What's your takeaway here? What are your thoughts on this game? This was the game of the week, in my opinion.
Is pretty, like, hats off to the Bills. Being that's week 6 and the way both teams looked, Chiefs had problems. They couldn't run the ball, and Pat Mahomes had a bad pick at the end. He threw 2 overall. Like, I'm not concerned about the Chiefs very well. On a different day, that game goes their way. But on that day, it went the Bills' way. I still think both teams remain great. It's great for the Bills' resume. But being it was week 6, I don't really know how much it really does. Just being honest, like, it's a solid win for them. It improves their outlook.
Home field.
Like, right. They got the tiebreaker now. Like, it's important. I'm not gonna be like, oh, it was nothing, but I don't want people shouldn't be going overreacting like Bills are way better than the Chiefs because like that's just simply not true. Like they played better than them on Sunday, but they didn't like blow them out of the water or anything. I think both teams are still on that level. That's my takeaway. I know I'm a Chiefs guy saying they're going to be my pick for the AFC and all, but like it's all those guys like Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, that whole team. You just can't write them off. And they didn't
I'm
look.
not writing them off. I have some reservations about their defense. I think their defense is overperforming to my expectations right now, and I want to see if that continues. And they're better than I think they are.
Right.
But I don't have much to say about this game other than I just enjoy watching Allen Mahomes, man.
Yeah, it's a
It
fun.
really feels like it's Brady Manning all over again. Like you look
Right.
forward to these games. I have no idea how this was in prime time, but forget about that. You look forward to these games, and it's like you circle it on the schedule, and now I'm just like, all right, can't wait for them to see each other in the playoffs again, right? Like
Yeah.
like that. It just feels like we're leading towards, especially after last year's divisional game. Like I don't know if that'll ever be topped. It's one of the greatest football games ever played, in
Oh,
my opinion.
yeah.
I
Such a
did see. I did see. So here was the difference. The moral difference, I will say, for the Bills. Uh, they scored with 1 minute and 8 seconds left on the clock, and immediately everybody's minds there. It was so different than the playoff game, and I get there's a huge difference between 1 minute and 13 seconds when Mahomes is over there. But it was so different. That sideline went back, and they're like, "All right, this." It was almost like Kobe, like job's not finished.
Yeah. Right.
And the
Right.
defense comes out, and ironically, in 13 seconds, gets a pick on like the second play of the drive, or the first play of the drive, and then the game's over because they can kneel it out. But I just felt like that was a level of maturity with the Bills. It was almost like, hey, we learned our lesson. Like this is not over. And I get that like it's a regular season, and there's freakish things, but like I just don't want that to go unnoted because that to me stood out was that sideline didn't celebrate at all when they scored
Right.
that last touchdown.
No, it's
So
I totally agree in the fact that we definitely shouldn't like let it go unnoted. We should definitely just be like, oh, it's nothing. You gotta give respect for credits due. The Bills look like the top team in the NFL this year. They're living up to those expectations so far, and like you mentioned, like that's a big deal to be able to close the game out like that on Patrick Mahomes. Big reason why they got Von Miller just to wreak that. Just even just getting pressure, just having that presence, knowing you have Von Miller running at you and passing downs. But I just, yeah, overall for the outlook, um, like it's again not nothing, and it's not like everything, but it's definitely something. And I think this game is played in Buffalo in the playoffs. A lot of people are inclined to take Buffalo. Like that's just, and
yeah,
even depending on how the season finishes out, even if it's an Arrowhead, after seeing what they did week 6, people are going to remember this for
yeah.
sure. And I think it definitely gives the Bills confidence in the playoffs. So that's definitely something for sure.
Yeah, that's well said. That's well said. It's without saying anything, it was well said.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all right. Let's save those that closes off the Sunday games. We're gonna save Cowboys Eagles for Wednesday, despite recording on Monday night. We like to save the primetime games, but let's. I'll do a quick recap of our picks here. All right.
Right.
So far, going into Monday Night Football. I am 7-6, and you are 6-7. All right. We both got Commanders, Colts,
Wow.
Bengals, and Rams right. Uh, I also grabbed Vikings, Seahawks, and Bills, and you grabbed Patriots and Eagles. Which I don't know why. I looked at this. I was like, why on earth would I ever take the Cowboys? That was the stupidest thing I could
You
have
were in
done.
love with Cooper Rush. You
I
were totally
was. Hey,
infatuated
you know
with.
what? And I'm still going to defend him. That game was close. I'm still good. That game could have been a blowout, and it wasn't.
Didn't he have
So
like 3?
I don't think he had 4.
I said 3.
I don't think he had 3. I thought it was 2.
Uh,
But you know what, man? I still think he could. I still think there's a competition. I'm keeping my mouth shut this week, but I just don't think Dak. It's not as much as I'm in love with Cooper Rush as much as I'm out of love with Dak. I don't like Dak. I don't think he's very
That's fair.
good.
Yeah, you can have that. I just think like you know his rep around the league and definitely in the Cowboys organization. I'm going to be kind of stunned if he doesn't get his job when he comes back. Especially like this is a game like if Cooper Rush won, I think it's a debate. Like people would talk about it to
Yeah.
knock off the undefeated Eagles, but to play kind of how a backup would, yeah, not a great look. And okay, we need to stop because we're recapping a game that we need to save.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, you were mentioning just beforehand our picks close.
Yeah. So, and you have the Broncos tonight, so I'm still very confident that I'm going to close out this week with a win again. I'm very confident in my Chargers
Don't
pick.
sleep on those microwave meals, man.
I will
Don't.
be sleeping on the microwave popcorn. Okay.
I
Um,
am telling you. I'm telling you.
as for fantasy frenzy, um, you are leading. You already won because I'm done, and you still have Austin Eckler. You have 138. I have 133.
Oh,
Um,
okay. It was close though.
I have 133, and I picked Jonathan Taylor.
Eesh.
So I ended up taking a goose egg, and it's going to be the reason I lost because if I score 15 points, Eckler probably gets the job done, but it could have been really close.
Right.
With that being said, quick recap: I did have Allen and Diggs, and they combined for 56 points, so that strategy definitely paid off. Um, Cup was solid. His floor of 16 points. I took a risk. I should have taken Kenneth Walker. I said I was debating between Taylor and Kenneth Walker, and
Oh man, yeah.
I should have taken Ken Walker. I think that this would be really interesting then with Eckler still going tonight. But I did take Ramondre Stevenson. He had 25, had a
Great.
garbage time touchdown. Zach Ertz as a sub because you sold. Zach Ertz had 14, and then I kind of got burned on Mike Evans. He only scored 8 points, and he had a
Yeah.
really good matchup against the Steelers, but just a weird game. And then I had McPherson in the Bucks defense. Then you had Kyler, who kind of struggled. Marquise Brown struggled. They combined, or Kyler had 14, Marquise had 11. Christian McCaffrey, solid pick. He had 22. And then you really got lucky because Tyreek Hill in the fourth quarter just like erupted. So
Nuclear.
he had 29. Mark Andrews had 23. Kelsey had an off week of 19. And then Rams defense had 10. Gano had 6. And so that
Okay.
puts you above 137 to 133. As for the totals, right now, obviously you would have 2 wins, but without Eckler playing, I have 474 and you have 440. So I still
So
have
Big Eckler Knight's gonna close his gap.
Big Eckler Knight closes the gap for sure, but I still have a 34-point advantage.
For sure. And going forward, I do like I know it burned you last week, but just so we don't have to play like the like just universal rules. Like if we see the questionable tag, we see like
I like it. I paid the punishment. You're paying the punishment too when it comes around.
I really like that idea because then we might have to really dig deep. There's a lot of dudes that are questionable with like buys and whatnot. We might put together with some cool rosters, which is going to be cool. To
dude, I could have started. I was this close to starting Ramondre Stevenson and Ken Walker and having it combined for like almost 40 points.
Yeah, that literally would have been great. So I love the idea. That will definitely be the rule going forward. Is you take gamble on a guy that's may not play. That's it's the risk,
Yeah,
and
whatever.
For you, it doesn't really matter because you're still overall, you had such a heavy lead. And quite honestly, I tried your Josh Allen big strat and didn't really pan out.
It's because you tried it with Kyler and Marquise Brown.
I know. That was quite a bold take.
I was 1 week off, too, on Burrow and Chase because I tried that the week before. And if I had that this week, oh, boy.
Yeah, Burrow had a nice day. He really did.
But all right, we're going to debut a new segment here to close us out. Probably another I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, but we're going
Yeah.
to call this kind of a better or worse thing. So I'm going to name a team. I'm going to give you a team, and you just right away go better or worse off instinct from the original team that I named. Okay, and I'm smiling because you're not going to like who I'm going to put you on the spot for. Okay, so
Okay.
this doesn't have to be when we do this in the future. Obviously, you guys, it doesn't have to be a team. It could be a coach, player, fan
Player,
base. I mean, whatever you want it to be. But I'm going to put you on the spot for the Packers.
okay.
Okay, I'm going to give you a couple layups. Then we're going to make it a little interesting. Okay, so better or worse than the Packers, the Bengals.
Right now, or are we talking? Do I
Right
think
now.
of, right now the Bengals look better?
Okay, okay, Cowboys.
Oh, right now the Cowboys are definitely better than the Packers.
Okay, how about Atlanta?
Oh, I cannot definitively say, and I still even think like that's a game we should win. I think they're worse than the Packers.
All right, all right. How about the Saints?
Again, like probably be close the way we've been playing. I'm still gonna say they're worse than the Packers.
And we'll do two more. All right. The Rams.
They're definitely worse than the Packers.
All
They
right.
got more marks.
And the Seahawks.
Worse due to strength of schedule, but
That's fair. That's fair.
it's. I could see someone probably giving a very good argument as to why the Seahawks are either equal to, if not better. And personally, I don't see it, and there's probably a little bias there. But I was up front, yeah, much that pains me to say the Cowboys are better than the
It's kind
Packers.
of hard. I felt like that was a little bit of a layup, though. It's kind of hard at this point. It's kind of hard not.
So it's hard to argue for the Packers. After what happened these past 2 weeks, I could have maybe stuck with it after that sus Patriots win, but after what I've witnessed, just we're getting melted by New York, both teams. I don't like it. I'll run you through a little thing then.
Run me through the gauntlet.
Yeah, because I know your guy Jalen Hurts, right?
Oh yeah, here we go.
Just better or worse? All right.
Are we just going to turn this segment into a chance to expose the other person for inflating something's value?
Yeah. I mean,
Is that what this is going to turn into?
We'll see how much you can tailor your hype to that. And so we'll start with some. Now we'll see. We'll see. Honestly, well, I'm really curious. So like, we'll start with an easy one. Lamar Jackson.
Better. Right now. Better.
Oh boy.
He's 6-0.
Now I gotta try and figure out who's better than Jalen Hurts that I can say, because I was Tom Brady.
Wait, right now or
Better.
all time?
Right now, yeah.
Right now, he is better. If I am playing next
okay.
week,
Sure.
Lamar is close. Lamar is about as that's up there with as close as you're going to get me.
What about Josh Allen?
Worse. I'm not taking that bait.
Patrick Mahomes.
Worse.
Justin Herbert.
Oh man.
Ooh, now I got some interesting ones for you.
Okay, define better at what?
Respective to who would you rather have going into week 7 as your quarterback?
Okay, then Jalen Hurts is better.
Fair enough. Joe Burrow.
See, Burrow's hot too.
Yeah.
I would say I'd take Burrow. If we're talking just going into week 7, I'll take Burrow off the hot streak. I think Burrow when he's hot is as good as anybody. But that's close.
I know I'm getting you with some of these. I think I got like two more names that are really that you can really, I guess, make cases for because I think we get a good gauge of where you rank Jalen Hurts. Um, you already said better than Brady. You already said better than Rodgers. Guy is, I guess, a young guy that's performed really well when he's healthy. Let's say it went in his healthy sample size, Jalen Hurts compared to Tua.
Better.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts.
I feel like I'm in the majority on that one.
Yeah. So I guess that's my final name for you is another favorite. I'm gonna make you may break your heart a little bit. Jalen Hurts, is he better or worse than Geno Smith?
You're so predictable. Yes, he's better than Geno Smith. You can pull all the advanced analytics you want. If
I
we're
might bring some cash
then
back
bring the
on
notes.
Wednesday.
Then bring the notes because I
That might
love Geno
be.
Smith, and you know what? I might pick him again on Wednesday because I just won the week off of, or at very worst tied the week off of that.
Yep.
So, yeah, Jalen Hurts over Geno
Okay,
Smith.
so you really only said so. Who are the guys you currently off of who I listed? And really, that's
I said worse than going into week 7. I said worse than Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Jackson is. I might tie them.
so you have right now as the top 5 quarterback in the NFL,
Yeah,
and
and I said that 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks
you did,
ago.
you did, and honestly, I said it was premature, but ultimately, he's shown no reason he shouldn't be there. I mean, quite honestly, the guy doesn't turn the ball over,
Yeah,
and
and they're winning, and this is team success, obviously, but and wins aren't a QB stat, but he's proven he can manage a game and win in multiple ways. He can take care of the ball, number one. They can win in the rain. They can win running the ball. They can win airing it out. He uses multiple weapons. AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are both getting very good touches. So is Dallas Goedert. Um, it's hard. It's hard to not pick a guy who's going into week 7 who's 6-0.
it is, it really is, and
You
especially
know,
when he's bent, like he's just said, no mistakes, can run the ball, multiple passing touchdown games this year, utilizes everybody on the offense. Like it's hard to really take anything away from Jalen Hurts right now, plain and simple. So I respect the take, I really do. Honestly, I thought honestly, I was like, he might go over Burrow. He might like. I was getting nervous. I was getting nervous there, but that's honestly go like relative to going into week 7. It's just kind of the facts.
all right, I got one more for you.
Okay.
All right, going into week 7, we're gonna play the quarterback game again. Okay, well, you know what? No, we're gonna play. How do I want to word this? We're gonna do offensive weapons. So the player is gonna be Saquon Barkley, and I'm gonna name any offensive player. And if are they better, more valuable, or less valuable than Saquon? Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with Justin Jefferson.
Oh man. I mean, relative to team success, Justin Jefferson for now.
Okay. Stephon Diggs.
Diggs.
Really?
Yeah, I love Barkley, man, but like that Josh Allen Diggs combo is deadly.
Okay.
That'll beat teams in the playoffs.
Okay. Aaron Jones.
Barkley. I love Aaron Jones too.
How about let's get out of the NFC? Well, I was out of the NFC. Let's go. Let's go, Justin Herbert.
Saquon. Yeah, I'm pretty confident in that because I think Herbert has weapons. That's why I think this is kind of the year he needs to be held to a pretty high standard. In my opinion.
Okay. How do I want to? Where do I want to go with this? I'm trying to think of more running backs. We'll go Dalvin Cook.
Saquon, just due to a couple just absent games from Dalvin Cook.
Jamar Chase.
Gonna have to use kind of a cop out with the absent games. I think Jamar. You know what though? He had a good week 1, and I changed my mind. I do think terms of value and more offensive threat, I think it's Jamar Chase going to week 7.
Wow.
I really think that opens up.
He's the league's leading rusher.
I understand that, but I hate to say like I need to see more. It's just I really just I think just seeing like back to the playoff run last year, what Jamar Chase did last week. I know it's maybe a little recency bias, but I don't know if I'm ready to like crown a Saquon above Jamar Chase yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon.
Oh, Saquon for sure.
Okay. Shoot, I had a good one and now I can't. Oh, Travis Kelce.
Oh man, especially after that 4 TD game, he's been the rock for that Chiefs offense for a while. So
Kelce then.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kelce.
Okay, Lamar.
It is close given what the two provide for teams. I just think Lamar has less to work with.
So Barkley?
I'm going with Lamar.
Going with Lamar. Okay.
I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson. He's already got an MVP. You know what I mean? Like, we had those talks early in the season. I don't think he's dead yet.
Final answer. Aaron Rodgers.
It's what really pains me is like if we had Saquon Barkley, I feel like we wouldn't have these problems of getting away from running the ball. And in terms of, again, going into week 7, who's been the better player? I'm not going to lie to the world and say Rodgers. Do I think he's a better player? Yes. I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers for, like, my franchise. But, like, right now, Saquon Barkley has been more impactful, as hard as that is to spit out.
All right. Sorry I had to do it to you.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. Needs to be said. I have my opinions on players, but I got to keep it, as realistic as possible. I can't endorse the play of the reigning MVP.
But if you don't have any more, I think that's all we got for today.
Yeah, no, I think honestly, it's a good segment. Kind of move with going forward. We do have I don't want to say bonus because honestly, it's probably going to become a consistent thing.
NBA Tuesdays.
Yeah, NBA Tuesdays. The season is kicking off tomorrow. That'd be just so good for fall. Is just the perfect time for sports. Like It's just nonstop. So we will be doing that. We will be getting some NBA content out for you guys. Probably just a lot of predictions tomorrow. And just, award winners, playoff, all that fun stuff. And then Wednesday, we're back at it again with obviously our primetime recap we got to get to. And,
predictions.
Our creative days. Yeah, we got our predictions, the fantasy frenzy. We'll probably do more of these exercises, just little segments and stuff and whatnot, because it's entertaining. You can always kind of like rank players, but when you're like actually going through names, you can really kind of define like your rankings and where you want guys to be. Like we can truly see how they pan out.
I agree.
So, definitely something like we'll move forward with going forward. And that's all I got to add. I mean, I'm just looking forward. We got a busy week, but it's all worth it.
Yeah.
I ever don't enjoy talking about this stuff. So
yeah. But with that being said, as always, thanks again for listening, guys. Be sure to check us out on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. We're going to start pushing out more content to you guys regularly here. Looking forward to NBA Tuesday, NBA tip-off tomorrow night. So we'll catch you guys next time.
Broncos country tonight. Let's ride.